fire when the mics get wet. Blow up mindset, no regrets. Welcome to the Natasha Effect.
And
Wait,
frankly, you
almost.
have to do 100%
Yeah.
of the work to promote your book. Even if you get a book deal, they look at you and they say, what are you going to do to promote this?
And that's where
What
storytelling
podcast are you
comes
going to go
in.
on? I don't know. That and working your
You better
tail
sell
off like you
yourself.
do, Natasha. Yeah, you got the hustle on. Like that's it. So it's really fascinating. And I've watched the rise of self-publishing and it makes me so happy because I love seeing people empowered. I love it when people, this is what I'm telling you. Like, if you are not going to sell your book, even if you don't even care about selling your book, even if you're just writing it to give to your friends and family,
Yeah.
it is so healing to write
Oh
your
yeah,
book.
100%. So I said earlier, it was very therapeutic for me. It still is. Um, Sometimes like I have to take a little bit of a longer break depending on what I'm writing
Yeah.
about or what
Yeah.
story came up in
Yeah.
where I'm at because it's just sometimes I'm like, wow, there was some unresolved feelings there. We're good now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
um and
It
sometimes
is
it's
therapy.
crazy. Yeah.
It actually rewires your brain. Like the psychology research, there's one
I believe it.
researcher, I think UT Austin, he's done like decades of research. He has shown that writing your book, writing or rewriting, controlling your narrative, rewriting your story where you're like the hero's journey, where you're like the superhero of your own story, rewires your brain.
Well, because again, it comes down to that perspective. It's going to give you a different, you get to write it how you want to. You're not seen by
Yeah,
somebody else as the villain
that's right.
or that victim mentality or because that's one of the reasons I didn't share a lot of what I went through in the beginning was because I didn't want that. I didn't want to be placed in that victim mentality. Like, oh, poor her. I hate that.
Yeah,
Like, I do
right.
not want your pity. I really don't. And that was my biggest reason for keeping it kind of to myself. So until I came to terms with it, I couldn't share it with anybody else. What was that going to do? And I
But you
think,
could write it for yourself and
and
then
that's,
start
yeah,
to
that's kind of what
process
I
it.
started doing for sure.
Yeah, but don't share it till you're ready to share it. I'm
Oh,
glad you
yeah.
brought that up because,
Yeah,
like, there you have to be ready. You have to have a little bit of, like, you have to
for
have
sure. Yeah.
processed it
You have
enough,
to
right?
accept it first.
You better because also there will be trolls. I mean, hopefully not many, but there
Ugh.
will be. So
Oh,
you
there
have to be
is for
prepared for
anything.
that. There, right? For anything
Like
ever.
you could be doing
So,
the best thing in the world. You
oh,
could be running a great charity.
definitely.
Who knows what you're doing, but someone somewhere is going to have something
Someone's going to
negative
hate
to
on
say.
you. Yep. Yep. So you have to be in a strong enough place to be like,
But
okay, I'm ready to share this. I've done the work.
And that's where just kind of segue into that is that's where like criticism doesn't come from the top. It comes from people who are below you or behind you. So if someone has something to say to you, it's because you're doing the right thing. You're going somewhere that they want to be or you have an attribute that they wish people seen in them. And the faster you learn and accept that, the better you're going to be in life. So
I tell my kids
I'll
this
leave it at
all the time. When people, yep, they're in elementary school, and when other kids come at them, I'm like, look, they're not coming at you from a place of, it's not even hating you. It's like bothering something in their own life,
a lot of times
right?
it's
That's why they're
jealousy
coming at
or
you.
it's yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
unresolved feelings or you remind them
Unresolved
of someone or
feelings.
whatever.
Yep.
So quicker
Yeah.
you accept that, then just move on and that's what it is. But I wanted to ask you, I lost it. Where did it go? I like typed it so I wouldn't forget and then somehow, oh, here we are.
Oh.
We talked about it a little bit earlier. You like briefly touched on it, but I wanted to talk more about what do you think is the biggest separator between a story that people truly like feel from a story that just sounds like words? I guess is the best way to ask.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think there are a number of factors that we've discussed.
Hmm.
So one is being vulnerable. Like any time where you're revealing, it could be a moment which was really hard for you, or it could be a moment where you screwed up, or but you're speaking from a place of vulnerability that is absolutely gonna resonate more. The other is I remind people that they can use all five senses. So I love that you do smell work because we are so visually
The
dominated,
forgotten one, I
right?
feel. I feel like no one ever talks
Yeah.
about scent when they write. I swear.
No. Exactly. And it's like all we're so visually dominant as humans, so we are always talking about like what we see, what the colors were, where we were, right? And then
Mhm.
we forget. So I tell people to use all five senses, right? So it's
That's a
like
good point.
what did it look like, but also what did it sound like? Like were you on a noisy street or were you in a beautiful quiet garden, right? And then what did it taste like what's something you ate? But definitely also what did it smell like? Smelling spring on the air, right? Smelling your classroom when you're a kid. Like, do you have a smell? Is it smelling
Yeah.
the Taco Bell? And how every time you smell that, it takes you back, right? That really draws people into your writing.
And it's crazy because like talking about the scent of your five senses, it's crazy to me that that one is like the number one forgotten because it is the most important. And I say that because it is the only one of the five that bypasses the logic center of your brain and immediately ties a memory and connection. Like that's why sometimes you can walk into somewhere and you smell something and you think of something before you really even realize it. I mean, that's why we're so tied to smells between like, oh, it smells like my mom or my significant other. Like, that's why babies, when they're born, like they go toward the smell of their mom because that is what they are wired to do. And it comes from like just very elementary, a biological standpoint is where it starts at. So if you guys are writing a book, let's use scent because
You
it is
scent.
so important. And I know some like scent is hard to write about, really, but figure it out. Use AI. Ask AI how do you incorporate scent into your sentence. Use it for good purposes. But it really is a truly important scent. Like there's a reason when you smell something, you're transported somewhere else. And that's what storytelling is. So utilize those other tools to do that. Because the right story isn't going to just inform, like you said, that's what chat can do. I can just Google a question.
Yeah.
But a
Yep.
good story isn't going to just give them an information or give them information. It's going to take them somewhere. It's going to anchor a feeling. It's going to elicit a memory.
Yes.
And I think
Yes.
that is the key, or yeah, the key differentiator.
I do too. And then I think the other third piece of advice I'd give, besides senses and vulnerability, is you don't have to be really obvious about it, but think about the universal lesson in what you're sharing, right?
Yeah.
Because the weird thing about storytelling is that what's so funny about it is that the more specific you get, the more universal it can be. So you
Yeah,
have
that
this
is kind
very
of weird to think
specific
about.
experience, right? Isn't that weird? But like, if you get more specific and detailed about the scent of Taco Bell, and as a 15-year-old in foster care, even though I don't have that memory and
Mhm.
I don't have that experience, the minute I start to listen to your story, I'm back to the neuroscience because I love neuroscience.
Girl, talk about it all day.
It
I love
Okay,
psychology.
good.
So go
Oh,
ahead.
good. My mirror neurons start firing, right? So the same centers of your brain that are lit up as you're sharing that story get lit up in my brain as I listen. And that releases dopamine and oxytocin,
We
which
love the
are the
hormones.
bonding hormones. Yeah. So listening to your story makes me feel bonded to you. And so
Wow.
then there's like, it's like everything has, so there's a universal lesson. Even if I've never been in foster care, there is a universal lesson out of your experience, which is something about resilience, overcoming hardship,
Yep.
not feeling sorry for yourself, right? Take whatever it is that are totally universal. And so I think the best writing draws that out as well, but it can be like there are moments in my blog or newsletter or something where I get very literal of like, we can see how this is true in all of our lives. But sometimes you don't
Yeah.
even have to say that, right? You can just kind of hint at it and people will get it and they'll get carried in and their mirror neurons are firing and suddenly they're totally on board.
It's so funny that you say that because that's literally like when I do my opening, whatever you call it in a book, and we'll call it an opening.
Yeah.
Um, when I do that part, that's literally what I talk about is adaptability and resilience. And because that is really what a majority of my life is that brought me to here. You spoke on mentorship earlier. I run a women's entrepreneurship group as well. And so mentorship is huge for me.
Ooh.
Um, and the biggest thing was I wanted to be the mentor I never had. Like I had to learn everything the hard way, like do it myself, figure it out. Even something as simple as we have a rental property. I don't have anyone I can look to that is directly like in my circle that can teach me how to manage a rental property. I learned a lot of hard lessons and I had to learn them myself, but I want to take those and be able to save especially my kids, but really I love mentoring other females. That's why I started the group on how to avoid those situations, how to do it right the first time, like kind of how to get there. Give them the blueprint I never had, because Lord knows I
I
wish I had a
love that.
blueprint. But yeah, I mean, a lot of my movie moments, you called them, or big moments,
Mhm.
were very rooted in resilience and adaptability. Even, I mean,
Yeah.
foster care, obviously, issues with other mentors. Another big one was actually while I was in basic training in the military. My foster father, which we became very, very close, I referred to him as my father. He passed away.
Mm.
I got a Red Cross message while I was
Oh,
2 weeks into basic
Natasha.
training, and I will never forget what the senior drill sergeant said to me. Oh, a woman, mind you, a woman, and I
Okay.
say that for a reason.
Okay.
You would think that they would be more empathetic and that they would
Yeah.
understand and they would care. No,
Yeah.
this is what she said to me.
No.
Word for word, I'm crying, right? Because I just got a terrible message.
Oh.
Um, they sent it through Red Cross. This is what she said. Well, Sudsbury, it looks like you got a lesson in resiliency today. I will never, ever, ever forget her face, her name, or anything about her. But she's right. I did. I sure as hell did get a lesson in resiliency. Was that the time and place to say that? No.
No.
But I
Pretty
took that
callous.
and I talk
But
about it. And in
wow.
my stories, that's one of the each standard is one of those stories that happened to me, and that's one of them is talking about like resiliency, adaptability. I had turn all your setbacks into setups because it really, whatever happens to
Mm.
you, you're gonna choose what you do with it. And I tell my siblings this all the time. Um, we got handed the same, right? Like we were all in foster care. We got handed the same life circumstances, the same conditions, the same whatever. Now, how you chose to go deal with that trauma and whatever happened to you and put yourself where you did, that's on you. I chose to go here and go this route, and that is why we live two very different lives. But
Yeah.
they love to say, "Oh, well, you're so lucky because this." No, you had, and their favorite thing to say is, "Well, you have the military to fall back on. You had every ability to go raise your right hand and say the same oath I
I'm like,
did."
excuse me.
Like,
I don't think I
yeah.
think you can do that too if that's your choice.
And but people love to do that. People love to take the
Gosh.
easy way and be like, "Well, must be nice." Yeah, my life is nice now because I did the hard shit then. And
You
so
did the hard shit. You
even
worked for it.
even my siblings saying that to me told me, you know what, really, I do have to talk about this because my siblings are saying
Yes.
that to me. So if they see that
Yes.
I live this privileged, blessed,
That's
whatever
right.
life, then
That's
yeah,
right.
I'm sure an outsider is going to see that for sure. But
Yeah.
again, control your own narrative, and then you're going to be able to tell the story that you want, that is true, that like live in your truth and stand 10 toes down on that and learn how to tell that story. But yeah, I just always when you said, "Oh, okay, it's definitely about resiliency," I was like, my whole life is about resiliency and
Yeah. That sounds
adaptability
like a
for
big
sure.
theme.
But yeah, that's really I'd say that's probably the theme of the book. Like anyone that wants to read it, like it's going to be about that, coming back from always being behind or whatever.
Mhm.
But it is really crazy. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on that. But what was I wanted to go back to something about the AI and I forgot what it
Okay.
was. So I'm trying to, oh, that's what it was. You said, so AI can't really replicate the storytelling aspect. Right.
That's
And
right.
there's all those telltale signs that we hate or love.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think is like the biggest part? And I know we touched on it a little bit, but the biggest part that it can't replicate, yes, being you, but
Mm.
what part of that or what part of the story? Is it the structure, the words, the
No, 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 no. AI is amazing at so many things so quickly. Like I'm just astounded. And even how far it's come in 3 years since I first started using
insane?
ChatGPT. So what
That's
AI can
actually my
do,
therapist now, but
yeah, yeah, there's that. I mean, what it can do is I mean, just transcription alone, because that's another thing that came up, by the way, since I've been writing for 3 decades. Like I had to hand type everything.
oof,
Transcription is, I
you
mean, you
got
can
carpal
just
tunnel
talk.
yet?
Yeah, I did. I did actually for a while. I had to wear like wrist braces.
Oh my goodness.
Um, it transcribes everything for you. Oh my God, God bless. You don't even have to type anymore. You can
I
just
love talk to
talk to
text.
text.
My best
Yeah.
friend.
So I tell people all the time who are like, I just don't like to write. I don't like to sit. I'm like, don't sit. Take it with you. Go for a walk and talk as you walk. You
Yeah.
know, they show all of these connections between brain energy and movement. So like walk and
Yes.
talk.
I was just about to
Then
say
what
that.
is, yep, AI is fantastic at structure. Oh my God, it blows me out of the water. Like I love it for structure.
When you
Like
move your
take a book
body,
idea.
yeah, when you move
Yeah,
your body, like physical
yeah.
exercise actually activates the creative center of your brain. So moving and
There you
talking and
go.
walking is exactly what you're
So
saying.
walk and talk, and then just talk into your phone. Like put your earphones in and just talk to it, and it'll transcribe it all. And then two, structure, brilliant. Title ideas, subtitle ideas, brilliant. Um,
Yeah.
Write your stories. Do not look to AI to write your whole book or even your newsletter or your podcast. Write your story, tell your stories, but then take your stories and plug them into AI and say, turn it into a chapter. Brilliant. Like it'll add on a little introduction, it'll add on a little conclusion,
I think
so
people
it is
rely on it.
brilliant for all of that. They
Yeah,
rely on it
people
to do that
people use it
middle
as like a
piece.
primary tool and it really should be
Exactly.
secondary.
No, I tell people it's consider it your collaborator, just like
That's a
people hire
good
me
way
to
to put it.
ghostwrite. Consider it your collaborator. It's your collaborator, but it can't do that all the heavy lifting for you. It just
Oh,
can't. And if you do it, it won't be good.
I
I
want to
promise
ask you
you.
about ghostwriting. So, do you ever
Okay.
get like a request and you're like, no? Like, do you
Oh
ever read
yeah.
it and you're
Oh
like,
yeah.
no?
Oh, for sure, 100%. I've done that more times than I can count in my career. I feel very lucky that every single time I've said yes to a book is because it's something I want to learn about or someone I want to learn
Yeah,
from because I've worked with amazing people. Like I did a book with the Dalai Lama and his doctor, I mean his doctor friend, Dr. Howard Cutler. Like I love getting to hang out with these people and learn
that
from
is
them.
really cool. Yeah.
But I also say no. Yeah, no, there's plenty of books I say no to. Like if the
Did
topic
you,
doesn't interest me, if I don't like the person's energy, like I'll just say no. Yeah.
was
Like,
that something you had to like kind of get to, or were you always just really good at being like, nah?
no, I was always pretty good at that. I don't know what, like you talk about your resiliency that you just had kind of from the age of 15. Like I just kind
Yeah,
of always had this, like I told you, with not going down the path further than McKinsey, where I was just like, no, I'm not going to spend my time doing stuff that I don't want to do. I'm not going to spend
that's good
because
because a lot of
when
people
I
don't.
work, no, because when I got started ghostwriting, writing a book would be like 6 months to a year. You know, now it's like hours or weeks,
Hours is
depending
crazy.
on, depending on how much they want me to be involved, right? Like I
Yeah.
might be doing like
No,
a
it's
high
just the
level
time
developmental
difference is
edit,
crazy.
but
Yeah.
the difference is massive. I mean, massive. So anyway, I wasn't going to ever do something that didn't interest me.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I was always curious.
Yeah.
I didn't know if people, I'm sure there are some that just say
I'm sure
yes
there
to
are plenty
everything
who
that comes
do.
their way.
I'm sure.
But
Yeah.
are you really going to get a good product or a good story or a good book if you're doing that, you know?
No.
I'm someone too who I'm never going to do something that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
Um,
You seem like that type of person as well,
my
Natasha.
husband, yeah, my husband told me like that's something I had to teach him because he's very much a people pleaser, very
Yeah.
much. And he
Okay.
is always wants to be the yes man. He doesn't want conflict. No, me, I'm very confrontational and I'm going to tell you if there's an issue, there's an issue. We get into an argument, he's the type that's like, give me my space, let's not,
Yeah.
we'll talk about it later. I'm like, no, we're going to talk about it right now. And I need the answer. I need to know what we're doing. I need A, B, and C plan of like resolution right now. And it has its pros and cons, right? But I think a lot of
Yeah.
people, it takes them a lot longer to learn to say no. So I was just curious what your process for that was. If you were just like, you
Yeah.
look at it and you're like, not interesting, no thank you.
Not interested. No, thank you. And a lot of times I refer those out to other people as I have other people
That's
on my
good too.
team. So I'm
Yeah.
like, who wants to take on this project? And it's not saying anything, like sometimes it's just not an energetic fit.
Yeah,
You have to have the right energy if we're going to be collaborating.
for
And so
sure, for
sometimes
sure.
it's just energetic. Other times it's a topic. I'm just like, that topic doesn't interest me. So they could be a great person, but I don't want to learn about computer science. So
Well, me either. I'll blame you on that. And
yeah,
then
sorry.
the thing is it's not gonna be it's not gonna translate the best way that it could
No, it
either
won't.
because it's just gonna
Exactly.
end up being like it almost feel like you talking to a chat or an AI, like there's no personality, there's no clicking, there's
Yes.
no that's one of the
Yes.
main reasons I do my guest questionnaire before I ever do my podcast is like you can
Yeah.
tell a lot, as you know, as a writer, you can
Yep.
you can tell a lot based on how people answer questions, based on how people like how much they care, how much effort they put into it, how generic their answer is do you actually really care? So my first indicator is like, okay, you filled out the questionnaire. Good start. The second indicator,
Sorry.
well, because
No,
a
I
lot of
mean,
people
that's
would
really
be,
smart though. No,
yeah,
Natasha, that's super smart because that little small hurdle just shows you how committed someone is. And a lot of people won't
for
do
sure,
it. So
yeah.
then you're like, that's great. So weed somebody out for you.
Yeah, because in the beginning it would be like everyone was like, "Oh, I'm interested." Yeah, and then it would just
Yeah,
be you'd reach out and it's like, "Why am I going to waste my energy?" Like I'm doing
that's right.
not like I'm a huge, super person, but it's like I'm doing you a favor. I'm allowing you to tell your story to my
For
audience, to
sure.
other people, whatever. But if you're not going to take the time to answer the questions, and then the other part is like same thing. I'm sure how if people give you a proposal, you're like, "No, thanks." Um,
Yeah.
I read through people's answers, and if I feel like I cannot have an interesting conversation with you, and we're just gonna look at each other like this, hi. Do you know
That's
what
not
I
worth your
mean?
time.
Like,
Yes,
I'm
I
sure you've
do.
seen interviews like that.
Yes,
I'm sure
I do.
you've seen,
Oh, yeah.
how are you today? It's really the sky's looking nice. Like, that no one wants to
I've
listen or
interviewed
watch
people
that.
before like that, where like you ask the question, they give you like a one sentence answer, and then you're like, and yes, and
Yeah,
like
because what are you
tell me
supposed to
more.
say? Because, right, especially if you have a slotted interview for 45 minutes, hour,
Yeah.
whatever, what am I supposed to talk about with you? And I had to learn that the hard way too. Like there was an interview I did in the beginning, which kind of prompted my questionnaires because that happened. Like I was literally like, it was so
Wow.
awkward, maybe. It was so
So
awkward.
awkward.
And it was
Oh,
just, and it wasn't even, like I said, she wasn't a bad person. I
no,
don't think she
no.
was comfortable in her topic, comfortable in her business, comfortable talking about her story or telling
Yeah.
and you could tell. And my thing was I can only prompt you so much. I
No,
can't
that's
tell it
it.
for you. And
No,
so
you need to give more than a one or two sentence
it
answer, and
was
you need to have some stories,
watching
people.
the footage back was brutal. I was like, you know
Oh
what,
gosh.
I can't post it. I can't. Because my husband will do my
Uh,
editing and I couldn't even if I can't even give it to him to edit, right? Like because I'm like, that's just rough. I know it wasn't a good fit. And I had to go back and tell. And now I'm actually being more selective. So I just
Good
had
for
someone
you.
who was like, "Oh, I'm switching from entrepreneurship to this. I'm no longer doing this, but I still want to talk on your podcast and tell my story." And I'm like, well, it's not gonna work for me. So
Yeah, good for you.
and it's hard. That's why I asked if saying the no was hard. Because I can say no about anything all day long, but I feel like sometimes it's hard to be that boundary sometimes.
Yeah,
Like
of
be that
course,
because you're that
always.
person that's like ending it for them, like, oh, sorry. Like, but yeah, I was always curious
Yeah.
about that. But yeah, for sure. I'm glad most of the people, and since I started doing the questionnaire that way, I haven't had a guest or someone that like I talk to for the first 5 minutes, whatever, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be real bad. Like it's gonna be rough. But
I'm so glad that that's such a smart system, and that's a system, like you said, that
for
you can
sure.
teach other women entrepreneurs too. Be like, here's a little hack, just one
Yeah.
little hurdle to
It's
get
like an
people
intake
to,
form, pretty
yeah,
much,
exactly. Just a little to prove that
that you
you
care.
care.
Yeah,
Um,
that's key.
and unfortunately, I have to go. I just
I just looked at
realized.
the time too, so do
Yeah,
I.
yeah.
But
I mean, I can keep talking to you forever, but yeah, I've got to
no,
hop on
which
another
is a good
call.
thing, which is a good thing.
Yeah,
But yeah, we'll go ahead and end here, but I just wanted to say, or we'll go ahead and wrap up and say, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to ask you where everyone can find you, social media, and anything you want to kind of drive home before we go. And I'm sure we'll set up something to follow along or whatever, part two
yeah, that would
maybe.
be
But
fantastic. I
I
love chatting with
definitely
you. It's super fun, super interesting. Thank you for
try to
having
be.
me.
Yeah, of course. No, thank you so much.
Um,
But yeah,
Yeah, so you can find me. I'm the only MeiMei Fox so far. It's a great thing about having a really unusual name that's like a nickname that's stuck from childhood. So look for MeiMei Fox, MEIMEIFOX. I'm the only one on LinkedIn, Instagram. Search the
really easy
internet.
that way.
Yeah, it's easy. It makes it easy peasy. And then my company is Your Best Selling Book. It's at writeyourbestsellingbook.com. And I have regular workshops, weekend boot camps. I have a free email newsletter that I'd love for people to subscribe to because every week I send out a little email newsletter that has a very helpful writing tip. I don't spam. I try to make it useful. I talk about AI a lot. I talk about, the latest in publishing industry. I
Well, I'll
interview
have to
lots of
do.
experts. So sign up for my email newsletter, please. I would be so grateful. And feel free to connect with me. Yeah, I'd love to connect with any one of your followers and chat with them anytime. So thanks again for
Of
having me.
course. Yeah, and like always, gotta run. But thank you guys so much for tuning into the Natasha Effect. If someone is listening right now that feels pulled and feels like they want to tell or write their story, take anything we said, send us any questions that you have. But the first step to take is just write it down or speak it. Do what you need to do. And from there, I will see you all next time. Bye.
Thanks, Natasha.
Yeah,
Bye
of
bye.
course. Bye.
Natasha Effect, yeah, the vibe is set. Truth gets louder when the mics get wet. Glow up mindset, no regrets. Welcome to the Natasha Effect.